5:30, a grieving mother is speaking out after her 7-year-old daughter with autism drowned in a retention pond near their home. It happened just last week.
This is the story of 7-year-old Mardasia Forte from Cincinnati, Ohio. She was born on October the 6th, 2017, and is described by her mother Mika as being a little girl who was rambunctious, full of life, had an infectious smile that would melt your heart. She was vibrant, happy, had giggles that was hard to forget, and enjoyed spending time at the trampoline park. Her mom called her Ladybug. Mardasha also had autism and was drawn to water. She had an older brother. But sadly, on Friday, June 13th, 2025, the Westchester Township Police Department would receive a phone call from Mika that Mardasha had gone missing from their Lakota Lake apartments at around 11:30 a.m. She states that when she went into her daughter's room to get her ready for school that morning, that she wasn't there. Upon learning about this, she was very distraught and terrified when she realized that her daughter was nowhere to be found. Now, while the police were en route to the scene, sadly, Mardasha's older brother had found her in a retention pond just steps away from their home. Now, this is truly devastating because her brother was already concerned about them living on the second floor because he knew that the pond was so close to them and that it didn't have a fence around it. Her death has been ruled as an accidental drowning by the Butler County Coroner's Office. Since Mardasha had a history of wandering away from her home, her mother had taken precautions to prevent this. She installed special locks on the doors, and also she had a special bed. Despite her efforts, she still managed to get out of the apartment that morning. Now, Mika is very upset and states that there isn't enough resources that are available and that there needs to be more done. She states that fences need to be put around bodies of water, especially if parents has done everything that they can to keep their kids safe. After that, it's up to the community to come together to help ensure that the children are safe. She states that she doesn't want another family to have to go through what she has went through. This is the second child with autism in Westchester to have drowned in a retention pond less than a year. I did cover this story, and his name was Joshua Al-Latif. This has impacted Mika very, very hard because she states that she has had to adjust to a quiet home and that she is taking it minute by minute. I also want to add that a local nonprofit, Empath for Autism, has introduced law that would require fencing to be installed around these man-made bodies of water in neighborhoods and in apartment complexes. This is a good idea because in Florida, there are so many bodies of water that are around and there's no fencing. So even though, as Mika stated, even though parents are doing everything that they can to try to make sure that this is prevented and, they're doing everything in their power, now it's up to the authorities and the community to try and get this problem solved. So Mardasha's mother, Mika, and local advocates are calling for action. They are urging state and local governments to require fencing around these ponds. I just want to say that this is a very sad and tragic situation. And after looking at this story and really doing the research and reading about it, it is clear that Mika took steps to make sure that her daughter was safe. I know a lot of times people might wonder what was done, what did the parents do to protect their child, and I would definitely have to say that Mika really stepped in to try to help her child, and this is a very, very sad outcome.
We've been following a story out of Westchester where police say a 7-year-old girl died after drowning in a retention pond. Police say a little girl had autism, making this the second case of a child with autism drowning in the township in the last 8 months. Now, Brady Williams was at the police department's press conference today, and he joins us live with more. Hey, Brady.
Yeah, Allie, the police department tells us that the parents did have proper safety measures in place here. It sounds as though the child was able to wander off and this tragic situation occurred. But again, like you said, this is the second time a tragic situation near identical to this has happened in the last year here. It's prompting folks who are looking for changes to be made to ramp up some of their ideas.
With any child, not just a child with autism, your children have a tendency to get away quickly, and unfortunately, this happened.
Westchester Police Patrol Bureau Captain Brent Lovell says they first learned a 7-year-old girl was missing at 11:30 in the morning. They received a second call that she was found in a pond while on their way to the scene.
Officers arrived at roughly the same time the missing child was found. Our officers went into the pond to pull the child out of the retention pond, performed life-saving measures at that time, and unfortunately the child was found deceased.
We don't know yet how long the child was wandering, but Lowell says the pond is about 100 yards or less from her home. He says the parents had proper safety measures in place.
I'm just sick over it. This is the second death in the last 7 months.
Leslie Williams is the president of Empath for Autism, and she's referring to the death of Joshua Al-Latif Jr., a 6-year-old who wandered into a pond in Westchester in November. Williams says they're searching for preventative measures that people beyond the families of kids with autism can employ.
Looking to have fencing around retention ponds. Also there are splash pads in Westchester that are super close to retention ponds too.
Township Administrator Lisa Brown addressed those concerns, saying that the township doesn't have the authority to require fencing on private property, but they are exploring options at that splash pad.
We are actively in the planning process to ensure that we have proper safety measures in place to control kind of access to those bodies of water near places where children are congregating.
Now, one thing that the police did tell us they are doing here is they have a special needs database. So if you call in and tell them, I have a loved one who has a special need, can you put them in there? They're going to have all their information in there, description, images, even details, things like my child responds well to bears or they like this kind of music. All of that will be in there. So if a situation like this does come up, your child is missing, they have all the information they need right away. Now, as far as
a grieving mother is speaking out after her 7-year-old daughter with autism drowned in a retention pond near their home. It happened just last week in Westchester, and our Brittany Harry is live now in Butler County with a message from the mother.
Yeah, so it was a pond similar to the one that you're seeing behind me here that Mika Forte says last Friday when she went into her daughter's room to check on her and to get her up and get her ready for school, she saw that she wasn't in her room, immediately concerned for her daughter and her safety because they live on the 2nd floor. But sadly, shortly after, she was discovered steps away from their home in a retention pond.
You silly. It was very traumatizing. Like, my heart hit the floor when I opened up that door and I didn't see my daughter in her bed. And I knew that she had jumped out of a window.
Mika Forte says she immediately called out for her son, Mardasia Forte's older brother, concerned for her daughter's safety with them living on the 2nd floor. Her son ran outside, Mika not far behind, as she called 911.
Westchester 911.
I need help. My daughter's missing.
As police were en route to the home, Mika says Mardasia's brother found her in the pond. Water is something Mika says her nonverbal autistic daughter was very attracted to. Mika says she took many precautions to keep Mardasia safe. That includes a special bed and safety coverings on locks around their home.
very limited to how she could move around in her own home, but yet it was for safety. And this still happened. And all it would have took is a fence around the body of water to keep her out. And I wouldn't be standing here now.
There is a local nonprofit working to make that happen right now. Empath for Autism has introduced a bill that would require fences be built around retention ponds and other man-made bodies of water. A move Mika says she fully supports with a lot of bodies of water in Westchester Township.
You feel like there are enough resources?
No.
You feel like more needs to be done?
Yeah, and especially if we can just talk about the bodies of water at all these different complexes. You have to fence them up. Like if the parents have done everything that they can do to keep the babies safe, then the community needs to come together to do something. It takes a village.
Mika is taking it minute by minute right now. Hard, she says, to adjust to a quiet home. She says Mardasha had an infectious laugh and hard to forget giggles. One of her favorite activities was spending time at the trampoline park.
She was vibrant, rambunctious, like full of life. And her smile could just melt your heart, literally. Like, that was my ladybug, and that's what I called her.